Have you ever sat across from your parents and found yourself listening to words that you know are meant to help, but instead they just make you feel worse? Words that sting, even though they come from a place of love? Words that, despite their good intentions, leave a bitter taste in your mouth? If you have, you're not alone. Many adult children, no matter how old they get, will experience these uncomfortable moments with their parents. The truth is, we all know our parents mean well, but sometimes the things they say can push us further away, even if they don't realize it. Today, we're diving into the 7 toxic phrases seniors should never say to their adult children, because they can damage a relationship that took years to build. But even more importantly, some of these phrases are so powerful that they could result in your adult child cutting you off forever. Stick with me, because we're going to talk about the words that could slowly unravel your relationship if you're not careful. You know, I remember a time when I was sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, talking about something that had been bothering me. I was going through a tough time at work, feeling overlooked, underappreciated. Instead of offering a word of encouragement or just listening, she said, "When I was your age, I didn't have time to worry about my job. We didn't have all these opportunities, and I had to make things work." At that moment, I remember feeling like I was drowning in my own problems, and here she was, telling me that my struggles were insignificant. It's something I didn't even fully understand at the time, but the way those words made me feel, that's what stuck with me. And it's something many of us experience when our parents use the phrase, "when I was your age." On the surface, this might seem like a harmless thing to say. Our parents, after all, have decades of experience that they want to pass on. They've been through struggles of their own, and they want to teach us valuable life lessons. But here's the thing. Times have changed. The world has evolved. And when our parents say, "when I was your age," what they're often doing is making a comparison between their struggles and ours. While that might have been relevant in their day, it doesn't always translate to what we face today. We live in a different time with different challenges. And when they use this phrase, what they're really doing is invalidating our unique experiences. They might not mean to, but it can make us feel like we're not being heard, that our struggles don't matter, and that we should just suck it up and move on, just like they had to. But that's not the only phrase that can create distance between us and our parents. Another one that often gets thrown around is, "you'll understand when you're older." The first time I heard this, I was 26, and my mom said it to me after I was venting about a disagreement I had with my sister. At the time, I just couldn't grasp why my sister was acting the way she was. Instead of offering insight or helping me process my feelings, my mom simply said, "you'll understand when you're older." It felt like a dismissal of my thoughts, my emotions, and my experiences. She was telling me, in essence, that I wasn't mature enough to understand the situation, that no matter how hard I tried to make sense of it, I was just too young to get it. And you know what? I was trying. I was looking for answers. But by saying this, my mom placed a barrier between us, one that said I wasn't capable of figuring things out on my own. In a way, she unknowingly stripped me of my independence and my ability to process things in my own way. It's a phrase that can be said with the best of intentions. Parents want to protect us. They want us to learn from their experiences. But when they say, "you'll understand when you're older," it feels like they're diminishing our ability to understand the present. It's as though they're saying, "I know better than you," without even realizing that we, as adult children, are navigating our own paths. It's one of those phrases that unintentionally hurts because it denies us the autonomy to make sense of the world as we see it. And then, of course, there's the phrase that we all know far too well, "because I said so." There's something about that phrase that immediately shuts down any further conversation. It's almost as if the person speaking is holding all the cards, like there's no room for debate, no space for understanding. As children, we heard this all the time. When our parents would make a decision we didn't always understand, and they'd respond with, "because I said so." But here's the problem. We're not children anymore. We're adults, and we've earned the right to ask questions. We've earned the right to be treated with respect, not like children who need to be constantly told what to do without any room for discussion. Now, this next phrase, this one really hits deep. I'll never forget the day my mom said to me, "I raised you better than this." It was after I made a decision she didn't agree with, and while I knew she wasn't trying to hurt me, those words cut through me like a knife. "I raised you better than this." It wasn't just a comment on the decision I had made. It felt like an attack on my character. It's one of those phrases that, no matter how you say it, makes you feel like no matter what you do, it'll never be good enough. It's a heavy weight to carry, especially when it feels like your worth is constantly measured by the expectations of others. When parents use this phrase, it's as if they're saying, "You should know better," without realizing that sometimes we all make mistakes. And that's okay. But when they say, "I raised you better than this," they take away our space to learn from those mistakes. They trap us in a box, one that we can never fully escape, no matter how hard we try. And then there's the comparison game. Every family has its dynamics, but there's nothing more damaging than hearing, "Why can't you be more like your sibling?" I've seen it happen countless times. A parent will compare one child to another, either directly or indirectly, and the other child feels like they're not good enough. It's painful, it's isolating, and it's toxic. When parents compare us to our siblings, it sends a message that we have to be someone else to earn their approval. It's a form of competition that no one asked for, and it can destroy the sense of individuality we so desperately need to maintain. No one wants to feel like they're constantly being measured against someone else, especially not by their parents. The worst part is that it creates a divide, a subtle but powerful rivalry between siblings. Instead of lifting each other up, you're left feeling like you're always in someone else's shadow. And then there's the phrase that can sound caring at first, but can be incredibly controlling. "I'm just trying to help." When parents say this, they often think they're offering their support. They might want to step in and fix things for their adult children. But here's the problem. Adult children don't need their problems fixed. They need understanding. We need the space to make decisions on our own, even if those decisions don't align with what our parents would choose. Sometimes, "I'm just trying to help" comes across as a way of saying, "I know better than you." And that's not the type of relationship we need. We need parents who trust our judgment, who allow us the freedom to navigate life on our own terms. When parents step in too much, it can create feelings of resentment, as if we're not capable of making our own decisions. And finally, there's the phrase that hurts the most, the one that can drive a permanent wedge between parent and child. "You're ungrateful." The first time I heard this, it left me speechless. I had just turned down an offer of help from my mom because I wanted to handle things on my own. And in response, she said, "You're ungrateful." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I wasn't ungrateful. I just wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. But by using that phrase, she made me feel like no matter what I did, I would never be enough. I would never meet her expectations. It's a phrase that implies that no matter how much we try, we'll always fall short of their hopes and dreams for us. And when that happens, the emotional distance becomes too great to bridge. Words matter. How we communicate with each other shapes our relationships. And as parents and adult children, it's important to remember that respect, empathy, and understanding are key. The next time you sit down with your children, think before you speak. Because the words you say today can either build your relationship or slowly chip away at it. Let's be mindful of the power of our words, because it's those words that will either create lasting bonds or drive a permanent wedge between us.